Guys, welcome back to another tier list at NFR podcast. And today's going to be a special one because we're going to be ranking albums that we've never reviewed before on the channel that came out in the last 10 years. We have albums like Ye by Kanye West, Honestly Nevermind by Drake, and more. So let us know what you think of our scores in the comments section. And let's get on with this. First up, Ye by Kanye West.
I will say this. It's probably one of the better albums that he's released over the course of maybe the past like 6-7 years. That Wyoming run as a whole was just generational for Kanye, and I feel like it's one of the most iconic albums, at least like for his catalog in that era, right? Like looking at what he did in 2018, this was a standout for me. I feel like there's fantastic production all across the board. I thought about Killing You, No Mistakes, Ghost Town. Like you're gonna find some of his best ever producing off of this thing, and I feel like the feature list is pretty solid as well. I feel like when you look at Kanye's performance as a whole, it's emotional, it's also sporadic, it's personal. I went with an amazing rating on this one.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of Kanye's like most infinitely replayable albums just because of how concise it is at 7 tracks, and it feels like you're getting to go inside of Kanye's mind for a day, and you're getting to see all of these zany ideas and creative tendencies just take shape throughout the track list. And ultimately, I mean, yeah, bro, it's really that good of an album. I think All Mine with Ty Dolla Sign's better than every song on Vultures 1 and 2.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say is that there's actually a really solid feature list and an intentional one behind this.
Oh, 70 Shake too, bro. Like, give her a Grammy for what she did on this album.
Like that's
Holy
generational,
fuck.
you know? And like you were saying, like this is pure like Kanye West creativity. You know, like this is one of those albums that I feel like holds a really close place to a lot of Ye fans' hearts, and it's for a good reason. I think amazing rating is justified.
Amazing. We're gonna do it. Next up, we have Honestly Nevermind by Drake. And listen, this album is mid to me. I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like if K Tronado was on the track list, it probably could have been better sonically.
Even like that, like looking at the Gordo production throughout all of it, like what's a weak production on the album?
Currents.
But besides that,
Falling Back.
No, Falling
I
Back.
can keep naming them, bro.
Okay, so you have 2 out of 11.
Weaker production.
So what's weak about that production for you? You can't just say
on
it's
Currents, there's a squeaking bed. On Falling Back, it's just a super simplistic, one-dimensional beat that doesn't go anywhere. I'm just saying, I feel like I would have wanted more instrumentals like Massive, where you're getting this progressive house music that is actually interesting, it's actually engaging. But it sort of brings Drake's sleepiness on the mic a bit more life.
But even
I feel like that's another issue with the track list is the vocal performances as a whole. Without a doubt.
I mean, but you go on to songs like Texco Green or even like Flights Booked, for example. Like those are progressive production that I feel like are strong for, I would feel like an EDM album. Like I'm not saying that it's his greatest invention, but I think it's good. I think it's a solid track list. As a whole, I'm keeping a bunch of songs out of here. I'm keeping Texco Green. I'm keeping Flights Booked. I'm keeping Massive. I'm keeping Sticky. I'm keeping Jimmy Cooks. Like, there's a really solid track list behind this album, and I'm not going to stick it to 2 songs and go all the way down to mediocre. Like, that makes no sense for me. I'm going good on this one, bro.
I think it's more than 2 songs that are the issue here, and, like, I applaud Drake for going into a new direction, but when the best song on the album is the rap song, it makes you ask some questions. But I'm okay with good because, like you, I enjoy a lot of tracks on the track list. I just feel like it wasn't executed the way that it should have been or could have been. But let's keep on going. IGOR by Tyler, the Creator. This is Tyler reaching his absolute peak as a vocalist, as a producer, as a composer, and he's doing it while making his most ambitious album. The soundscape is absolutely insane. You're getting these hypnotizing, droning synth lines straight out of the 80s, some distorted bass. Sounds vintage, but also futuristic. The mix of funk, of pop, of soul, of R&B, of hip-hop.
Think about how memorable this track list is as well. Songs like, let's say, New Magic Wand. Songs like Earthquake, you know? Like, there's so many different memorable tracks for his catalog and top-tier tracks from his catalog that lie within this album that kind of make it impossible to argue against. I mean, as a Tyler fan myself, I've always loved Flower Boy because of the more rap-centric, let's say, performance, whatever the case may be. But if you were to tell me that this is undeniably, you know, Tyler, the Creator's best album, I can't argue that. Like, when you look at the vocals, like you were saying, they were so well executed upon, at least in my opinion. Like you were saying, bringing that 80s synths influence into the album as a whole and what that did for the soundscape, I feel like that was super original as a concept in 2019 too. Like, it's beautiful to see what he was able to accomplish with this album and also the visuals attached to it. Like, you're immersing into Tyler's world at the maximum with this album experience, and I feel like when you go into this studio album experience, there's nothing left to see realistically. He covers every single corner let's say when it comes to the production, when it comes to the feature list, when it comes to his own performance,
The story and the character
bro,
within the
love
album.
triangle, like there's so much beautiful shit going on
And I
here.
feel like this was for
Yeah.
everyone that's like, I feel like Tyler took the approach of being like, okay, well, I'm obnoxious. You think I'm edgy? Well, I'm going to erase all of those narratives from my previous music and come out with music that's irresistibly catchy and that's layered emotionally, sonically. It's a flawless album to me. I'd give it the perfect rating for sure.
I have a hard time giving it a perfect rating because
Why?
that means it seems kind of crazy because like I got to get into an album review, but I got to do it. I have to do
Yeah.
it. I really can't argue it. It's one of the best albums to come out over the past 6 years.
100%.
All right, Die Lit by Playboi Carti. So you and I have opposing views on what's his best album or let's say best project. You often reference self-titled as his best body of work. I think that his first studio album, Die Lit, is his best work. But regardless, we can't argue on the strength of this album and what he's able to execute upon. And especially like in 2018 when trap was hitting its commercial peak, when you had a lot of artists that were also using this cookie clutter formula to be able to create trap music. I feel like Playboi Carti came out with Die Lit and he broke boundaries. He broke boundaries with his vocal inflections, the way that he attacked certain flows, the collaborations, whether it was with Skepta or whether it was someone that was close to him like Uzi. Like there was so much beautiful shit going on with this album, and I think for a good reason, it's regarded as his masterpiece. It's regarded as one of his best ever albums in his catalog out of the three. So where do you want to go with this rating?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's there's a lot of fucking bangers. There's 19 songs. I think Poke It Out is a miss without a doubt. I also think Middle of the Summer is another miss because of the horribly sung chorus by the feature artist on there. Listen,
But realistically,
the highs are high, the lows are lows. There's a couple of mediocre tracks within it. But yeah, it was a moment, bro. It felt like the farewell to like the Cash Cardi sound. Even though you would have gotten it on a whole lot of Red later on and other performances, like this was the end of a special era for Cardi. And the highs are high. I don't know. I'm stuck between a great and amazing. Like, do you feel strongly more towards one than another? Like, what are you
when
saying?
I look at the production, I could argue it for being amazing. The replay value, I think, is fucking close to perfect. I mean, I'm still bumping this album close to like every week. Even now in 2024, Cardi's animated. He brings so much life to this album. Some of his best ever performances, strong feature list, like arguably the best trap album of that year, right next to Astroworld. Like you could maybe even slot it. That
No,
like,
not higher than Astroworld.
no,
Chill.
Hey, whoa, you gotta calm down. Let me finish my thought. I was saying like in the top 15 range of 2018. Like it's really there. Like I'm telling you, this is a competitive album.
I'm just saying this album is not in the conversation with Astroworld.
But when did I
for me.
mention Astroworld?
But you said it alongside it. To me, it's like I wouldn't even put them in the same.
No, but
the
I mean,
same
but it's
sentence.
definitely one of the best trap albums of the year.
Yeah, listen.
Would you say it's top 3 trap album of 2018?
of that year?
For sure, absolutely.
Probably.
Absolutely.
Probably. I
It's
mean,
amongst Astroworld in that conversation.
Yeah, because that was a year where you got some lackluster trap albums too, like a Culture 2, which we'll get into later, and a couple others. But I mean, yeah, it wasn't really like a trap centric year to begin with, in my opinion.
But it did hit its commercial peak.
Yeah, sure. I mean, listen, like I said, I'm good with great or amazing. If
I wanna
you
go
lean
amazing.
more towards amazing,
Yeah, I
we'll
think
do
it's
it.
an
All right,
amazing
next up, Savage Mode 2 by 21 Savage and Metro Boomin. I just love how they designed this album to be as cinematic as it was. Getting the Morgan Freeman narration on an album is fucking legendary. Not only that, but when you look at song transitions, like the way the menacing keys from Runnin' cross over into Glock in My Lap, and just Metro's colorful mix of soulful vocal chops with these dark trap beats. The production was incredible all throughout it. I think it was amazing without a doubt. When you're looking at 21 Savage's performances, really solid throughout, bro. Hitting some new flows, and I think the only weakness within it is when you get to a track like a Mr. Right Now, or when you get to the one with Young Thug, Rich Shit, where he goes into more of a melodic bag and
I
he
like
can't
Rich
hold
Shit
his own.
as a performance, though. It's not as bad as Mr. Right Now.
Thug carried it though.
Still, though, great feature. I feel like when you look at this album, I don't see, like, I could see why maybe people put it over the OG Savage Mode now more and more that I listen to it.
Same.
I feel like the production's a lot more interesting. I feel like the track sequencing was incredible. I really like, Morgan Freeman on the track list as well. That was revolutionary also for their catalog. And you saw so many artists after this album try to replicate that. Even songs like Many Men, for example, I regard that as one of 21 Savage's best ever rapping performances, in my opinion. And like the way that everything kind of comes together as a whole, like, I really have a hard time arguing for this album not being amazing. Like, it's tough for me. Like if I put Die Lit there, like I'm gonna put Savage Mode 2 there.
That's why I feel like, to me, low key, both of these albums are just great. But now we had to put Die Lit in the amazing, and I feel like it's on the level of a Die Lit, but it's not quite amazing either. I would go with great with this one as well. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I can't be mad at it though, because originally when we even had conversations like outside of the studio of how we'd rate the album, I think we were talking about maybe having it at a great rating.
Yeah, but it's not far from amazing. I can't
not.
blame you for maybe putting it close to that level. But next up, Days Before Rodeo by Travis Scott. We are going to have a couple of mixtapes in this list.
10-year anniversary, man.
10-year anniversary. It's a good time to talk about it. And I think this is when you got to see that Travis Scott was going to be a serious curator in the music scene. And I mean, how is this album ever going to be bad when you had Mike Dean and Metro Boomin at the helm of the production, producing nearly every single beat on this thing?
Yeah, you're getting also some of Travis's best ever rapping on songs like Backyard. You're getting a magnum opus in his catalog with Drugs You Should Try It, and that was an interesting song for his catalog at the time because you saw that Travis had range within his sound and that he was going to be able to experiment with this sort of like psychedelic rock-esque sort of aesthetic that not many people in his lane were able to experiment with. So it added an extra dimension. What do you want to talk about? Quintana Part 2? You want to talk about Mamacita, even though I think that was like originally an Alfredo track, regardless, though you put it on the mixtape again. Talking about The Prayer.
Was that ever an Alfaro? I don't think so.
I believe so. I believe there was a version on Dat Piff with it, but I know it was released before DBR. There was a version. Correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong.
I think it was a single before DBR. I don't think it was an Alfaro, though.
Okay. But regardless, anyways, though, when you really look at the track list, some of his strongest ever cuts.
Yeah.
So what are we going with here?
We can go amazing with this one.
I think we can go amazing.
I feel comfortable now. Yeah, it's just the atmosphere it creates, bro. It just absorbs you entirely. So, really sick experience from Travis. Next up, Kamikaze by Eminem. This was Eminem's like old head hater album, you could say. That's what a lot of people thought of it, where, you know, he kind of acted like a bit of a baby after the reception of Revival, if we're being honest, and decided to make an album where he was saying fuck you to the critics, fuck you to other rappers in the game, and we ended up getting a fucking mixed bag. Like, I'll be honest with you, like, it's so tough to listen to this album because you have some of his best tracks of the last 10 years and some of the worst tracks of his entire career on the same track list. Like listening to the rhyme schemes on a song like The Ringer and the energy and the pace and the vitality of his performance on something like Not Alike, and then getting that run of like Nice Guy, Good Guy, Venom, you're left absolutely fucking puzzled, bro.
Yeah, you're left puzzled on it. It's
a mixed bag, bro.
Is it bad enough to bring it down to a mid rating?
That's what it is. It's like it's mid or it's good. Like it's in between both of those. I mean, like I said, you're getting some incredible tracks, but you're also getting some awful tracks. Like you
get 3 of them.
4.
Which ones? Which ones would you say?
Good Guy, Nice Guy, or is it Bad Guy? I don't even know. Nice Guy, Good Guy, those 2, Venom, and then of course Normal, which is earlier on in the track list. It's 4 out of 13, realistically.
It's not that bad. Is it really that bad?
It's not. It's. I mean,
that bad? Like, it's not good enough to put it up to a great rating. That's for sure. I feel
we're
not
touching that area.
No. But I'm just saying is that like that's why I probably go with a good rating though. You are getting some incredible rapping performances, like you said. On The Ringer, you're getting great collaborations off of it. There was like such an enthusiasm with this album as well off of first listen. Like there was a sort of magic you felt when you first listened to this album as far as being like an Eminem fan. I go good rating with this one.
Yeah, even though it has a weak ending to it, I think it's still a good album. So
it's pretty solid in certain areas.
That's fair. Next up, Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon by Pop Smoke, and I think that the first good choice they made with this album was allowing 50 Cent to handle the executive production. I know that he took care of the sequencing on the album and did his best to really keep Pop Smoke's vision intact, and they did a great job at that. Like, I know the album was 80% done before his tragic passing, and then what ended up happening afterwards was that they had to use some low-quality recordings and do some wizardry, like the engineers, to really get those vocals to sound good, and this really sounds like professional studio album that was all stemming from whatever intentions Pop Smoke had for his debut album.
Yeah.
And I think that where it really strives was that it's like, okay, no, like Pop Smoke was going to be more than just this Brooklyn drill rapper. You weren't going to be able to put him in any box because of the versatility he showed on songs like Something Special and on songs about What You Know About Love, where he's able to hop into an R&B bag and actually come up with some really slick melodies and some catchy tunes. I just think that it feels like a very complete album. It doesn't have that posthumous feel. I'm between good and great. What about you?
I could go great with this one, to be honest with you. Even looking at songs like 44 Bulldog, like there's some really strong cuts off of this album. And like you said, it didn't feel like a posthumous release. They did a really good job with this. And I think it comes down to the fact that it was 80% done, you know? So if there was certain verses that had to be fixed up or certain sequencing issues with the track list, like it was 50 Cent that was behind it, you know? So at least you know that with that being said, that there was a certain intention and that there was a certain vibe that they were going for. And it showed his potential. It showed the ranges he was able to hit. Even songs like For the Night, like, you know, those are mega bangers, bro. Like these
Yeah.
are some serious records, especially for this new 2020s decade. Like this album, I feel like is one of those decade-defining albums for like new rap music.
Oh yeah, it's had legs, bro. Like
For
people
sure.
are still bumping these tracks.
The
They're still getting
longevity of the
clubbed with-
music is
Yeah.
crazy, bro. It's
Undeniable.
stupid.
Yeah,
It's an
great. Yeah,
it's
honestly, great.
It's a great record,
for
no
sure.
doubt.
Next up, we have Revenge of the Dreamers 3 by Dreamville. And the more that I listen to this album and think
I love
about
it,
it,
bro.
what a moment it was. Not only is it going to be remembered forever for the legendary recording sessions where you had artists fighting to the nail to get in the door, but you also had crazy stories about like Chris Bosch being in some of these sessions and just incredible people working on the music and giving their ear to the music. And ultimately, this is one of the best albums we've ever seen from a label or a collective in hip hop history. If you really do think about it, it's on that level for me. I love that they made the Dreamville artists, of course, have the spotlight, but also brought in artists that were just going to fit the vibe of the tracks, bro. And you had amazing chemistry with artists like Vince Staples, T.I., Saba, etc.
Even the baby, looking at what the baby did
On
under
the
the sun,
Sun, yes.
there's some generational performances off of this album, and that's what I really like about this track list. Going on to the baby on Under the Sun,
Reason on Lambo Truck.
looking at J. Cole too on something like Sacrifices, Young Nudie on Sunset. It's just such a complete track list, and there's so many different ranges that this project hits. Yet it feels so coherent. It feels like it was so well crafted together with passion, and that's what I love about it. It perfectly encompasses what Dreamville strives to do, while also inviting in other collaborators that you might not think fit into their world, and that it makes sense. Example, like listening to a Guapdad 4000, or even like let's say Ski Mask, bro, on Costa Rica, looking at that posse cut.
What a banger.
How does that work? It doesn't, but yet it does, you know? And you're also getting songs like Wells Fargo where you're seeing some crazy GID performances. Like, this album offers so much in only what? 18 tracks?
Yeah, it's near skipless. And
18
even like the
tracks?
low-key tracks on here, like what people would call the B-sides, like Sleep Deprived. Incredible song. I'm so curious who actually put the track list together, because that was never really like revealed to us. We don't really know who
Well,
directed
it's probably executive.
the album.
Who's the executive
I'm sure
producer?
J. Cole's listed as executive
Yeah,
producer.
leave it to Cole, bro. He'll
Yeah,
take care of it.
but
He'll
yeah,
take care of it well.
insanely put together.
I could argue it being amazing.
I know it might be a hot take, but there's really big highlights on here. Not many lowlights. I'm cool with the amazing, especially in that category of like this is a collective / label based rap album. Fucking impressive.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm cool with the amazing. That's fine.
I am as well.
Next up, Hood Poet by Polo G. This is a 2024 release, and to be honest with you, I'm stunned by the lack of growth from Polo G on this album. I mean, he had 3 years to make this album, the biggest break I believe that he's taken in between albums. And listen, there's no hits, there's no catchy tunes, there's no songs like painting pictures that you could bring into an argument here like you had on Hall of Fame, where it's like, oh, he actually took a lyrical route here. No, there's none of that. There's no maturity in the writing. There's no evolution or upgrade in the production quality. This is a backward step for Polo G. And
I think it kind of sucks for certain Polo G fans that listen to something like a Bloody Canvas and they tell themselves, man, this guy has it all. Like, this guy could really be one of the top tier rappers, at least for this new generation. And I just feel like, I don't know, I look at this track list and I'm like, where's the direction of it? Like, even at that, the album didn't do well. The album didn't do well. So this whole attempt of trying to make like spin the block music and like trap bangers for TikTok, it's not working. It really isn't. Even in the first live album reaction, I was stunned to hear how many piano keys you still heard on this track list. If you really go through it, bro, there is a fuckload. And that's the problem with this Polo G album experience. Still, when you look at it back to at least Hall of Fame, bro, every single track either shares a similar flow, a similar piano line, just something that does not have a unique factor to it, and that is the biggest problem. And you're getting that for 18 tracks
And you're getting
straight.
poor mixing. If the beats
Oh my
themselves weren't bad
God.
enough, some of the mixing was really, really off. Like, listen to No Recruits and try to convince me that sounds like professional studio music.
It's a mid album.
Mid at best.
It's a
I could even
mid-album.
go down to bad if you wanted to,
It's a
bro.
mid album.
Sure.
I would go mid.
We could stick with mid. Next up, The Carter 5 by Lil Wayne. This was one of the most anticipated albums of the latter end of the 2010s decade, and for good reason. This album was years in the making, and I think that what made it such a cool experience was everybody's judgment of, okay, these songs are going to be sometimes 5 years old, 1 year old, 2 year old. Like, you're getting Wayne rapping from the perspective of different chapters in his life, and it was also a big track list. Like, this was an opus, if you will, because you had 23 songs on this album at a runtime of an hour and a half, and I think ultimately he did a good job of giving fans what they wanted, bro. They wanted Wayne bars, they wanted anthems like Uproar, you got that. You wanted personal lyrical tracks, you got one of the best personal Wheezy tracks ever with Let It All Work Out, one of the best storytelling tracks of his career with Mona Lisa. Like, there's a lot of like hallmark moments for Wayne's career sort of segmented within the track list.
And I think that's what it does so well as a studio album experience, is that it fits within the Carter series. It's a strong enough studio album to be able to be like, hey, this could play along the Carter 4. You know, I'm not saying it's on the level of the Carter 3 or the Carter 2, but it's like, I understand, especially in the latter half of Wayne's career. And also, I think that it was a big sigh of relief for Wayne fans that were waiting on this album for a long time. Like, he had a lot of trouble releasing this album. There was a lot of legality issues that went into dropping this in 2018. And I think that he knew that he had to deliver. And throughout the track list, yeah, there's weak moments within it for sure. And you could go through them. But at the end of the day, like you said, getting story cuts like a Mona Lisa, getting bangers like an Uproar, getting these types of songs for the album really made it feel like an OG classic Carter album. And that's very special to get, especially in 2018. Hopefully the Carter 6 plays on the same level. We'll have to see.
I'd go with a great rating.
I'd go with a great rating on this one. For
yeah,
sure,
absolutely. Next up, Alfredo by Freddie Gibbs and The Alchemist.
Okay, so this is interesting, Lou, okay?
Oh, brother. What are you going to tell me here, man? What are you going to come up with now?
If I had to give this a rating, bro.
Nah, don't play around here, bro.
If I had to give this a rating? Oh, wait, hold on. What do you mean, don't play around?
Don't fuck around with me here, bro. I am not putting my guard down on this one, bro. I'm fixed in my rating. Like, you cannot convince me otherwise of what I have in my heart. You can't.
Okay, tell me what you have in your heart, and I'll tell you if I'm leading the way.
Well, it starts off with the letter P.
Yeah, it's a perfect album.
Yeah.
It is a perfect. If I had to do this album review, bro, what are you gonna talk about? What do you want? The Rick Ross feature, the Conway feature?
They're great.
Yeah, bro,
They're fucking great.
They're perfect features. Like,
yeah,
they perfectly fit the track list. Perfect rapping performances, perfect lyricism, perfect curation. Where do you want to go? You want to go to the production?
Flawless, masterful.
Try and find a flaw on the production side of things on this album.
You can't. It's impossible.
Uncle Al just chefed up one of the best meals of his life with this.
Yeah, he did.
You want to talk about Freddie's rapping performance? What do you want to do? In 1985, God is Perfect? What do you want to do?
God, the electric guitarist in 1985.
What do you want to do,
What are we
bro?
doing?
No, I'll argue. This is a perfect album.
This is a perfect album. No one can convince me otherwise. There's not a single weak track on here.
No, it's a perfect album.
There isn't.
It absolutely is. It's going to be top 5 of the decade for me when it's all said and done.
I think so.
It's going to be top 5 of the decade. No fucking doubt.
It's the grittiness. It's the lyricism. It's the flows. Oh my God, the way he's rapping, the mic presence. It's ultra confidence. Great song concepts on like Babies and Fools with Conway rapping about their children and just some real life shit. Just put Freddie Gibbs with a upper echelon producer and it's a home run, bro. Every single fucking time.
Every single
Perfect album. Nothing else to say. Testing by ASAP Rocky.
Very interesting.
Very polarizing. A lot of people are split on this one. And
for good reason, though.
Yeah.
For good reason.
Yeah.
Do you think it was because people were expecting a lot more after At Long Last ASAP? Or do you think that maybe the sound was so out there for him that people were like, no, I don't know if I fuck with this from Rocky? Because even at that
I don't think it's that. Because Rocky's always come out there with like the out of field, left field, experimental soundscapes, you know?
Okay, I could agree with that. I want to go for this track run, bro, because it's a crazy track run. All right, Distorted Records, ASAP Forever,
Tony Tone, Fuck Sleep, Praise the
Lord.
Lord. Ends there.
Yeah,
Ends there. Those first 5
yeah,
tracks.
but then you got Buckshots Ever. I love Guns and Butter, also with Juicy J. That's crazy.
To me, that's the weakest track run right there. Like from Call Drops to Brother Man is where it's like the album kind of loses its stepping a little bit.
You don't like Buckshots? You're not a fan of Buckshots?
I don't love Buckshots.
Oh, I
No,
like
I don't.
Buckshots a
I
lot.
don't.
I like it. I like the Kelvin Crash.
I like the first half
production.
of Call Drops. I feel like it was going somewhere and then never really did. But it did a great job of setting up
How
good
about
ambiance.
like towards the latter half of the track list? Let's see a song.
I like the end of the track.
So like what, like a Changes, for example?
Yeah.
I like that too.
I like Changes. I like Purity with Frank as the outro. OG Beeper's pretty cool. Kids Turned Out Fine. That nice, calm, psychedelic Rocky that's just wavy as fuck.
Crazy. I think it's a great album.
I think it's a great album too. Like I said, it has its missteps, but
at the end of the day, there's so many different types of dynamic performances. Whether you like something that feels a bit more psychedelic and slurred out, you get that with a Fuck Sleep. You want that high voltage, high energy sort of Rocky, you get that on a Distorted Records. You want an anthem from Rocky, you get that with ASAP Forever. You want something like you said that has like more of like that calm, chill, psychedelic-esque production and vibe. You're gonna get that as well with Kids Turned Out Fine. You know, besides a couple of tracks on this album, I really have no arguments for it.
Yeah.
I think it's a great album.
It is a great album, and honestly, I think that listen, Don't Be Dumb could be better than this, but I think we're gonna be looking back and being like, fuck, bro, it's hard to replicate tracks on the quality level of an ASAP Forever, a Fuck Sleep. Like, there's some serious tracks on that album.
Sleepers.
But all right, Legends Never Die by Juice WRLD, another posthumous album, and yeah, this is an album that was very long in terms of its length. There's a lot of tracks on here, a lot of pop-centric features. I think you're getting a lot of great melodic performances from Juice WRLD throughout it.
Mm-hmm.
That was one thing that wasn't lost, and I do feel like this was right before that sentiment grew, that they're scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like here, you still felt like these were complete songs.
You did feel like these were complete songs. And I think that when you look at it, yeah, it's 21 songs. It is what it is, but you know, you still get some great rapping performances on here, like an Up, Up, and Away. Even Screw Juice is really good too. You're getting mega records on this too, like a Wishing Well, Come and Go with Juice WRLD and Marshmallow. Even if I'm not the biggest fan of it, regardless though, I'm still cool to see that record come out. I mean, at the end of the day, like even a song like Conversations, that's great writing from Juice WRLD.
Mm-hmm.
I really can't complain about this track list. Do I think it's the strongest album of the decade? No. But
I think it's a good album.
I think it's a good album. I think it's a really solid effort. I'd give it the good rating.
Yeah, I'd give it the good rating. And, you know, some people, I've seen this criticism before, and I've felt this way a bit about the album, where it's like, oh, I would have liked to have seen more rapping performances. But I just feel like that wasn't a curation choice of this is what we want to go with. I just feel like it's a situation where that's the direction that Juice WRLD's music was just going into naturally.
Yeah, that's where he was going to go.
But yeah, next up, we have Not All Heroes Wear Capes by Metro Boomin. The second Metro album on this list today, and we've always had the debate, what's better? Is it this? Is it Heroes and Villains? This is just another case where I was blown away by an album just because Metro showed me that he was willing to take creative risks to go into genres we didn't know he could produce for. The way that he was making some Afrobeat dancehall shit, like it was really, really
it showed
impressive.
his range, and it showed what he was able to do artistically. I think that this is a big foundational building block, not only for his solo career, but for the producing that he would do later on. Like even looking at what he did for The Weeknd, Selena Gomez after this, like he went on a run into different genres right after this album dropped and proved that he wasn't just your generic, you know, trap producer. He was capable of much more. And I think that this is one of the best albums within his solo catalog. I could argue it's top 3.
Mm-hmm.
I had Heroes and Villains at an amazing rating, at least for like my opinion. And I think that it's on the same level for me.
Yeah.
And I would maybe put Heroes and Villains a bit slighter, but that's just personal preference. But at the same time, these albums are neck and neck.
No complaints. Space Cadet, fucking 10 Freaky Girls, just
nuts,
insane,
crazy
insane track runs. But yeah, amazing is going to be the rating here. Next up, Big Fish Theory by Vince Staples.
Okay, so this was an interesting conversation going back to the whole Twitter X thing. People were saying that J. Cole would never be able to attack these types of EDM, industrial-esque hip-hop productions. I think he would. But at the end of the day, this is one of the most unique soundscapes that hip hop has seen for the 2010s decade. It's just Vince Staples in his fucking bag throughout all of it. It's definitely the Vince Staples album that gets you off your seat the most.
Yeah.
That's for sure. If you really want to feel that sort of thrilling, sort of accelerating energy throughout a track list, Big Fish Theory is for you. So we've given amazing ratings to Vince before for albums like a self-titled, even this year with Dark Times.
We're going to do it again.
I think we're going to have to
do it again.
I think we're going to do it again. Absolutely. But that brings me to another conversation. When have you seen this type of consistency from a rapper?
I know, to a point where like all of your albums are of a certain pedigree. I mean, there's very few rappers of this generation that are still active today that have his resume, bro, when it comes to album experiences. And that's why, like, obviously you could call every rapper an artist, but there's certain rappers that are truly
An artist.
an artist, like an A$AP Rocky, a Vince Staples, where you can guarantee to find a unique album experience every time. And that's what you got here, bro. Just for me, it was the blends of old Southern 3-6 Mafia influence and samples bleeding in with like Chicago house and Sophie being at the helm of some of the beats, and Vince Staples still giving you some stories about Long Beach while going into this crazy sonic world. It was a beautiful splash to see from Vince, and I wish more artists like took as big of a gamble as Vince did with this album. But next up, Zoo by Denzel Curry.
So this was a big album for Denzel Curry because it was going to be the album he would respond with to Taboo.
Mm-hmm.
And we could have conversations about Taboo all day. You could give it the perfect rating. And it's considered to be his magnum opus, also alongside Melt My Eyes, See Your Future. But with this, it was interesting because Denzel does this thing where he drops his magnum opus and then he drops something that's a bit looser for, you know, his core fan base that really fucked with like Raider Clan shit, or that really fucked with like his old mixtape sort of stuff. And what I like about Zoo, and also Unlocked kind of had this similar feeling too when it dropped in 2020, where it was a lot more free spirit, where you're getting records like Speedboat that maybe aren't the most deep and methodical from him in his catalog, but yet there's this free spirit, aggressive nature to the project and that Southern Florida sound that rings off throughout it that's so hard for other artists to replicate. Like, that's what I really like about the studio album, is that when you go into it, who's going to be able to do this? You know, no one. It's Denzel Curry's take on that Florida sound and bringing you the sounds that he grew up with. So I know you're a huge Denzel fan.
Yeah.
So when you look at this in his catalog, do you put it up in the upper echelon? Do you think it's underrated? Do you think it's overrated by some? How do you feel about it as a whole?
I think it's properly rated by the fan base. Like you said, this was Denzel having fun and using an opportunity where he grew a much bigger platform. It was like, you know what? I'm going to show love to my hometown. I'm going to put on artists like Play That Boy Zay and other artists that like Kiddo Marv that you maybe never heard of that come from where I'm from. And I'm going to put my city on the map now that I have this accelerated influence in the game. And like you said, just the throwbacks to old Florida hip hop and Trina and Trick Daddy and everything he brought to the table. It's a solid album. It's a lot of fun to listen to. Cool skits in it as well. It's a great rating to me.
It is a great rating.
Yeah.
Kind of like Kings of the Mischievous South, Volume 2. I feel like
It's on that level for
It's
sure.
on that level for
All
sure.
right, next up, Culture 2 by Migos. What a fucking disappointment that was.
It was too long. It felt like they tried to do too much with it, low key. And
It was a cash grab.
it was a big cash grab at the time
Yeah.
itself. And I think that they had also said that like they spent like 45 minutes on each track,
Yeah.
and it kind of did feel like that.
Uh-huh.
I mean, okay, you want to go through some of the bangers though off of it?
Oh yeah, Narcos. Are we kidding? Who are we kidding, bro?
No,
There's some
there's
songs
some
on here.
serious
Notice
songs.
Me. Notice Me was sick.
Notice Me's underrated. That's for sure.
What else? Walk It, Talk It, of course. Stir Fry was never for me, but I know that's a hot take. Everyone loves it. Flooded
is one of the biggest bangers.
Flooded
in
was
their
dope.
catalog. Motorsport was huge.
Yeah, then you got Made Man. That was cool.
But like you said, like
it's all over the place.
It's all over the place, and I remember like seeing this announcement when I was 18 at the time, 18 or 17. No, it came out before I turned 18 that year.
Yeah, it's 2018.
And I was like, no, this is not gonna be up to the standard of the first Culture.
Yeah, it felt like it was coming too soon, and like yeah, when we grade it, like we're obviously gonna look at it through the lens of like, well, this is a sequel and it has nothing on that sequel. They didn't really
No,
capture
of
the
course.
same dynamics and synergy between each other and really come out with shit that really moved the needle. So
Mid rating.
yeah, a mid rating for Culture too. But next up, Dark Sky Paradise by Big Sean. The best way I could describe this is that this is a Big Sean album. Plain and simple. It's a Big Sean album. It's all over the place. You're going to have some songs that will go off in the club, like I Don't Fuck With You. Blessings was a dope banger on here with Drake. Really love that song. His best rapping performance on this album is easily Paradise Extended. He really went off, and it's one of his best ever rapping performances. But unfortunately, as you go through the track list, Big Sean decides to bring the pipes out and gets to singing. And the singing isn't great.
No,
Just
it's not great.
it's really not.
You know
great,
what I like
bro.
about this album though? At least it's 12 songs. At least
Is it only 12?
It's only
I
12.
feel like it's longer than 12.
12 songs.
Really, I feel like it was 16 for sure. Let me see this.
12 songs.
12 songs. It felt longer upon listening to it. I'm not gonna
But
lie.
even songs like All Your Fault, like I love the production on that song, and you know, just looking at even, you know, songs like Paradise Extended, those are some of his best ever rapping performances.
It's a good album to me.
It's good.
Yeah, I mean, it even suffers from like just very simplistic and vaguely written tracks. Like you go to something like Win Some, Lose Some, and you could tell Sean wants to make a song that's like lyrically inspiring, but there's just not much to it. There's not much food for thought. But yeah, good album, and yeah. Next up, Lil Pump 2 by Lil Pump.
This is a sequel to the OG Lil Pump, one of the
Yep.
most iconic rap albums of all time. I heard Rolling Stone was considering giving it the best album of all time, any genre.
We just slaughtered into perfect. I mean, what has to be said about
What
this
has to be
masterpiece?
said? Yeah, what is the production, the incredible interpolations, the fact that he wanted to go into like new metal rock.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
I think that's a great lane for him to
he
go
was the
into.
first rapper to ever attempt that. Honestly, yeah, bro. And like, how often do we see a hip hop album win Album of the Year at the Grammys? I mean, like that was generational as well. It won every award. I believe that one of the songs on the album was actually used in a film, and he won an Oscar. Like he might have gotten the entire EGOT with what he put into this project, bro.
It's dog water. It's a dog water album.
Bro, honestly, the only aspect I like about this album is like Theo Vaughn on the intro coming in and saying, "You know, want to know what my favorite type of weed is? Cocaine." That's just. It's hilarious. But besides
bad
that,
reading, bro. Get this album
yeah,
outta
this
here.
is a bad album, and like I will say this, the album's quality is consistent. It's consistently trash. That's what I have to say about it. Just horrible.
It's a big red flag, bro, if you're putting this on.
Oh yeah, bro.
Dude, I don't know who would genuinely sit down and like listen to this.
But you know what? Thankfully, I have not heard a single person bump it
Online
at all,
online
or
discourse.
upload it online. Nothing. Like no one's playing this. As they should. And the next up, some rap songs by Earl Sweatshirt.
So there's a lot of conversations about this being the best in his catalog.
Yeah, there is.
Do you think it's the best in his catalog?
I think it's the most unique album experience in his catalog, and I'll tell you why. I feel like what you're getting is these, like every song feels like a scattered, torn up piece of paper, and like you have to listen to all 18 tracks to get that fully formed letter. And once you do, it is rewarding as an album experience because it's a super introspective, vulnerable album from Earl, even though it feels like he's talking in code and he's talking very ambiguously a lot of the times. You know, he's going through a tough mental state in his life. He's grieving over family members that have passed away, and I think the writing is really clever when you go
It's
into
raw
it.
and genuine as well. Like to see Earl kind of, well, he's done it previous albums, but with this, the way that he took the track list and was able to sequence it from start to finish to be able to make this beautiful overarching theme that I feel like speaks to a large percentage of his fan base and how many people felt inspired and felt good after listening to this album. It's beautiful. It's generational. I think it's an amazing album.
It is an amazing
It's
album.
an amazing album.
All right, next up, Bad Habits by Nav. Yeah,
It's a bad
so
album.
this is a Nav album. You can't expect much with this one.
But even at that, right? Like Perfect Timing and Nav self-titled, those are passes, right? And
This
like
is not his finest hour.
But
that's for
this
sure.
is really not his finest hour.
The only
Because-
song I like one song out of like
What is
the 20 something, Taking Chances.
All right. And even at that,
Hey, it's one. It could have been nothing.
It's true. At
It
least
could have been. At least I got one out of this.
At least give him one out of it. But yeah, listen, I don't want to say the writing's bad because it is bad, but that's kind of like an obvious statement. But at the end of the day, nothing really going for on the production side of things either. The problem with this album too, bro, it's a fucking chore to listen to, bro.
Oh yeah.
From start to finish, like I don't know who wants to listen to this from start to finish. It's boredom. It's genuine boredom. There's a lack of memorable tracks on here. Like, there's just nothing going on with it.
Yeah, it's really not it, bro. I mean, I always try to root for Nav. I always want to see Nav win, but
I think we're like one of the only like platforms in like the entire music industry that like really give him his flowers.
fuck yeah.
Like when it's due, bro. This guy has fucking bangers. But even a standout song, let's say, right? Like a tap. The whole tap, tap, tap interpolation. Bro, it sounds awkward. Like that record has not aged well.
Yeah, it ain't it.
Price on My Head with The Weeknd. It's the Weeknd song, you know? Like
Trust, taking chances. Trust me on that one.
bro, do you realize
Spin
how,
that shit.
bro, I've been okay, listen, I went through the entire song structure of Price on My Head. Dude, it's the Weeknd song, bro. He has the first verse, the chorus, the second verse. Navraj has the third verse only, and then after that you have two other Weeknd choruses. Like it just feels weird. It feels disjointed. This is a bad album.
Yeah, it's
bro.
a fucking bad album. It might be the only one that we actually know. Lil Pump 2 got the bad as well, right? Yeah.
There's another one on here that got bad, no?
Yeah, I think there's like 2 or 3 of them. But all right, let's keep on going. Everything's for Sale by West Side Boogie. This is one of the best rap albums of 2019, and it comes from Shady Records' very own West Side Boogie, who gets vulnerable, introspective, emotional all across the album. And I love his vocals, bro. I think they're extremely smooth, they're wavy, and he's just able to float over these laid-back acoustic strings or these soulful horns. Like, listen to Silent Ride or Skydive if you want proof of that. But yeah, he really showed his artistry on full display. I love the 2-part tracks. I love the balance of rapping and singing. I'm cool with giving this an amazing rating, bro. I know it might be high to some people, maybe to you as well, but
I can't be mad at that because even a song like Tired/Reflections, I love the writing on that song. Like the Black feature on Skydive 2, bro. Soho with JID, the electric rapping performances on that. The Snow Allegra feature, having Eminem on here. Like, this is a really big album for him. I'm kind of sad that he wasn't able to follow it up with something as strong as this because, like, this would have been a super stacked catalog.
Yeah.
It really would have been.
So yeah, amazing rating.
Amazing rating.
Next up, Almighty So 2 by Chief Keef, the second album that we have from this list from 2024.
This album was a surprise, bro.
Bro, this is one of Chief Keef's best to me. Like, especially in recent times, I think this is his best album in close to 10 years.
It's focused, it's coherent, it's energetic. Like, it's everything you want out of a Chief Keef album. Bro. I love the producing on this album, bro.
Bro, the beats on this album are fucking nuts, bro. Like all the classic Chief Keef snare rolls that you're getting, the epic operatic vocals that are ringing off in the back. Like, they're so layered, there's so much going on, they're explosive, and I can't think of another album from this year, last year, the year before that really sounds like this in terms of the maximalist trap production that you're getting on here.
And it also has like that almighty sort of series feel to it as well, and to be able to get that in 2023 is absolutely
24.
In 2024 is absolutely incredible. Yeah, I don't know what to say with this. I think a great rating.
Great album for Chief Keef,
I would give it a
bro.
great rating this year.
Yeah, I mean, for a while, yeah, it felt like he was cruising, and like with this one, it was pedal to the metal, bro. Like, he really went all in and put a lot of effort, so I was happy. Next up, though, Crash Talk by Schoolboy Q.
So he ranks this at the bottom of his discography.
And he admitted that he was chasing the numbers with this one. He said it, and it was obvious, bro. When you have a song like Chopsticks early on into the album with a Travis Scott feature that like he probably came up with in a second, and it has nothing to do with the rest of the themes within the album. Like, you know that it's just there to move records in the same way that
even like
when you look
Water
at
with Lil Baby, like
Floating with 21 Savage, you're just there like, okay, we understand what went into this. But that being said, we can't ignore songs on here like Crash
or like Dangerous, A Tales,
Attention, 5200,
some of his
Num Juice.
Yeah, bro, no, this is a stupid track list. Besides the exception of a couple of songs, this track list is pretty solid.
This is a great album to me.
This is a great album. I don't know why people like would argue that this is anything else besides great.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely have it there, but let's keep going on with this. Kiss the Ring by Rome Streets. Yeah, This album holds a very special place in my heart. It really does. It's one of the best Griselda records to come out over the past 5 years. I'll put it up there. I'll put it up there with the Bo Jacksons.
Yeah, it's up there, bro.
I'll put it up there with like the Tana Talk 4s.
I just think, Rome Streets as an MC, bro. It's that dominating mic presence. It's the clever punchlines. It's the grittiness that he brings.
It's that brutal force that he's able to inject into a track list. Name me a weak song on this album.
Yeah.
Name me a bad bar. Name me a rhyme scheme that doesn't left you blown away.
Yeah, he's rhyming shit like 85 with plagiarize and like.
No,
it's,
bro. I'm telling you, this is an amazing album.
It's next level, and it's because you're getting the Heartbreakers. You're getting Camouflage Monk, Denny LaFleur, and fucking Conductor Williams taking care of almost every single beat on here. And you're just getting these dark, dissonant beats with his grimy, bloody, descriptive rhymes. It's a hell of an experience. It's a long track list, but keeps you engaged throughout. And it's an album made for a 90s hip hop head. Like, I feel like it's a tribute to, classic East Coast hip hop.
It has like this Big L influence.
Oh, for sure. Well. So yeah, what do we sing? Amazing?
Amazing rating for sure.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Slime Language 2 by YSL. Listen, bro, I was never big on the YSL roster, to be honest with you. Like, besides Young Thug and Gunna, I never really gave the time of day or wanted to some of the other artists just because I was never really captivated by them. And like, to me, it's almost like I went in knowing I wasn't going to love this album, but there's bangers. There's a couple. There's a handful.
Solid.
There's a handful.
Diamonds Dancing with Travis was all right.
Ski was cool.
That was definitely cool.
The song That Go, Meek and T-Shine.
Not bad.
Came and saw, but again, there's a handful. It's a mid-album to me.
It's definitely a mid-album.
When you have like High Dora singing on here. Coil Ray on this album. I mean, there was some songs that just didn't make sense, and it gave you that DJ Khaled feel a little bit, where it's just like, okay, throw shit in the wall. What sticks, what doesn't?
Yeah, it's definitely a mid-album. All right, let's go into the next one. We have NASIR by Nas. Overhated album.
Bruh.
Overhated album. Did you respin it, by the way, for this episode?
Oh, for sure I did. You too?
Yeah.
I
went back.
Really
well,
enjoyed
I've been
it once
going
again.
back, actually. I was going back all summer. It was really in my summer rotation.
To me, bro, like White Label and Adam and Eve are alongside the best tracks from the King's Disease series, the Magic series. Like, I don't understand the hate for this album. I think it's super well produced.
Cop
like,
Shots the Kid with Kanye.
Bro,
really
that Slick Rick sample, the way they used his voice for the foundation of that beat was so creative.
Having Richard Pryor start off the song as well.
Yeah, man.
What do you want out of this track? It's like, what else did you guys want, bro? How did this get overshined?
I feel like maybe it was a thing of expectation where it's like, it's Nas and Kanye West. The expectations are through the roof. You're getting a self-titled album at that, so people expect it to be super personal, super revealing, and maybe it wasn't that, you could argue. I have to agree with that. But again, you can't make your expectations come in the way of what's in front of you, and the music's fucking quality, bro.
I could argue it's in front of King's Disease 1 and it's in front of most of the Magic series.
Yeah.
I could put arguments for it.
Yeah, I agree.
In my personal and humble
It's better
opinion,
than Magic 2, Magic 3, and KD1 for me.
I could even argue it's better than Magic 1.
No way.
I could argue it.
No fucking way. No.
I could go
Now you're stepping over the line.
I could do it.
No.
I promise you, Lou, I could do it.
There's no
I could
way.
reach those links.
Oh, if you want to have the free smoke, bro, just fucking
I'll
ring my line, bro.
I will.
Ring my line
the
if you want to
concepts
take
and the
it there.
messaging in this album, yeah, we'll do it. I'll ring
yeah,
your line. We'll have that as a set. I know. Listen, I know. Based on the comment sections, I'm gonna lose because of people like how they regard this in comparison to Magic 1. But
so
like,
good.
I can make the argument for production, for writing, whatever the case may be.
You
But
can't.
what are we doing?
We're doing a great rating,
We're gonna do it a great rating with this.
All
one.
right, next up, Coloring Book by Chance the Rapper.
So you're not a big fan, Lou.
I think the mixtape's a bit overrated, if I'm being real. I mean, is it really Grammy-worthy? Is it really a better album than like Atrocity Exhibition, For Your Eyes Only, and A Tribe Called Quest Farewell album? Like, there was so many albums to celebrate
The
that
Life
year.
of Pablo, like no.
Views, like
Blank Face.
Yeah, no. It's not up there on that level. I will say this. I think it was cool to get like some triumphant gospel bangers on here with like All We Got, No Problem, Angels with Saba.
I love that song though. Angels with Saba is one of the best
so
ever cuts
good.
in his discography.
So good. But I just feel like he steered off course a few times. Like a song like a mixtape that sort of sticks out like a sore thumb. Smoke Break, where it sounds like Chance is doing his best Future impression when Future is literally on the same song.
Even at that, like I've never been a big fan of the way that he at least from this album on, the way that he curates his like tracklist features.
You think there's too many features?
It's a bit flooded, bro.
It is.
It's a bit flooded. There's realistically, bro, you know how many solo songs are on this album?
2.
1. Now that I'm
Yeah.
looking. Yeah, one. There's one solo Chance song on here. I did feel like it's a bit bloated, bro.
Yeah, curation-wise, it could have been better for sure.
And I think that, Kanye's always been a huge inspiration for him, right? And like he was Kanye's prodigy coming up out of Chicago. And Kanye's always had grandiose feature lists just like this. But at least you got those solo classic Kanye cuts within heavier, let's say, feature lists. Even on, let's say, a My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, you still have something like a Dark Fantasy, for example. But on this, it's just fucking jammed to the brim. I think it's a good album, though.
Oh, it's a good album for sure.
I think I'd give it
For
a good
sure
rating.
it is. Yeah, yeah.
I think that's going to be a hot take from us, but I'd give it a good rating.
Yeah, I think it's a good album. All right, to close off this tier list for today, All My Heroes Are Cornballs by JPEG Mafia. And listen, guys.
This is the first album I ever heard from him, by the way. I'm not sure if you knew that.
I didn't know that. No, this was the first. Okay.
This is the first one.
I listed the veteran first. But how do you feel about this one? Because for myself, when I listened to this one, it was still around that time where JPEG didn't fully click for me. And I'm like, wow, like, if this is what a JPEG experience is going to be like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get into them. Like,
well, my ear wasn't as developed as it is now, and I didn't give it the chance, I guess, it deserved when it did come out. I mean, it was only really after LP and, Scaring the Hose and even looking at this new studio album where I started to appreciate it. And we brought this album in, I believe, into what? Best and worst song off the albums?
I think so.
It was.
That or Skips, yeah.
Either way, it was one of those albums back in 2023, and I did the revisit, and I'm like, okay, I think it's an interesting album, but at the same time, like, this is nowhere near an LP.
No.
This is nowhere near a Scaring the Hose. This is nowhere near a veteran.
This is his worst album to me. And I will say this, I do think it's genius that you get songs like Keenan versus Kel where you have these extreme tonal shifts where it starts off with him rapping really smoothly, then you're going into like melodic singing, and then you're getting screamo rap all within one track.
And
like, that's the fucking twists and turns he'll take you on performance-wise, sonically. But that being said, the biggest flaw within this track list for me is those melodic auto-croon performances that are absolutely abysmal, bro, on this track list. Like, awful.
Yeah, there's certain ones
really
on here.
poorly executed, and it comes up a lot. Like, it was a big motif within this album was him tapping into that.
Yeah, I think it kind of took the album a bit backwards, but even at that, you're still getting great sample flips on Jesus Forgive Me, I'm a Thought. Like, that sample flip is magical, So I think there are strong points within it.
Of course.
Of course, it's self-produced like the rest of his catalog, but I'd give it a good rating.
Yeah, I think I'd give it a good rating.
It's a good
Even
album.
the 90s Japanese vocal sample and beta male strategies, like, the production's still top tier. JPEG is still taking you on a unique experience. It's just performance-wise, writing-wise, could have been better, I believe. But guys, that's going to sum up the tier list. What was the most shocking rating, you think? Was it giving the two perfects?
Yeah, but I kind of knew, though.
Yeah.
I kind of expected it. You've said it in podcast episodes before how you really wanted to give IGOR a perfect rating. You know how high I rate Alfredo. I gave that album of the year for 2020, and you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Would you go back and take that back that statement?
I think I would put it over Burden of Proof, yeah.
It's better than Burden of Proof.
It is.
Well, that album
It
is
is.
magical. So, guys, let us know where we got it right, where we got it wrong, and what tier list should we do next. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.